Go to hell. Folks, what you're hearing right now is my own audience, my own fan base booing me because I did say that I was kind of pulling for the Thunder a little bit this postseason because I've always had a soft spot for him. Go back and look at my tweets. I've always had a soft spot for Shai. I've always had a soft spot for the Thunder, okay? So give me a break, please, folks. We're going to a Game 7 of the NBA Finals for the first time since 2015, okay? So I have a ramble video where we're going to talk about and try to contextualize this finals and compare it to some of the more recent finals. So if you enjoy these type of ramble videos, please leave a like, please leave a comment, please leave a subscription, leave a comment and say, Mr. Biased, the doctor will be seeing you shortly. This is the inside of my ankle, folks. This is what it looks like right now. Look at that. That's what's inside my foot. So please, I'm trying to upload these to the main channel. We'll see, if this is more of a main channel thing or a Clips channel thing. I don't know. But folks, we have ourselves a hell of a series right now. First time we're going to a Game 7 since 2016. We deserve this. We do. It's been a while. This has been a very competitive and fun series. And we deserve it because there's been a string of not so fun series. The average margin of victory so far in this series has been 10 points. We had an all-time classic game one. I mean, a game-winning shot. How often do you see that in the finals? Not often whatsoever. And beyond that, just contextualizing why this series has been so entertaining is it wasn't supposed to be. I picked the Thunder in 5, and I'm going to be real. I think I said on record, and I hope I didn't. And if I didn't, then forget I'm even saying this right now. But I think I said on record, I thought it could be a sweep. But, man, it's a testament to Indiana and the Pacers, who have been the second best team in the NBA behind this Thunder team since early in the year. It's funny because the Thunder have this all-time defense. So by pretty much every single metric, they're an all-time defensive team. The Pacers, it feels like, are just as good as them at times defensively. And, of course, you just have they're so incredibly well coached by Rick Carlisle, and then you just have these role guys, man, who just play out of their mind. They're not scared of shit. TJ McConnell looks like the best player on the floor in this series at times. There's a guy who just won the MVP on the floor. Even J-Dubs had some huge moments. Dog Chet. Obi Toppin's had some huge moments. Obviously, Halliburton, Matherin's had some big moments. I mean, this has been such a fun series, and I can't wait for Game 7. This has already been one of the better series we've had in a while, and depending on how Game 7 goes, this will be up there for one of the best series of the last 15 to 20 years. And I wanted to take a look, and I titled this video, "Is this the best finals of the last decade?" It's a little bit of clickbait. We're going to go deeper than a decade. I want to go back and look at every single final since 2010, ramble about them a little bit. I made a little tier list here to try and rank these series since 2010. You can tell I used to want to be a meteorologist. I mean, you can just kind of tell I'm a natural at it, just going back on this. Almost done with the painkiller regimen, guys, just by the way, if I say anything crazier. So tier number 1, we have Tell Your Grandkids. This is, in 20, 30 years, 20 years, 40, 50 years. This is, Peepaw, what was it like to watch Dirk hoist the trophy in 2011? Well, sit down, grandson, and let me tell you how great it was. YouTube documentary binge-worthy. This is, it's 11 p.m. You got a pint of ice cream. You're sitting down. You're on YouTube. 2019 Raptors championship miniseries. Oh, fuck yeah, I'll click on that. We'll always watch reruns on NBA TV. Says, you're browsing the channel. Oh, 2015 finals. Oh, let's click on that. Fun narratives, bad series. This is, there's fun storylines and stuff, but the series isn't very good. And these are formalities. These are the series that aren't very good. I went back to 2010. I just kind of randomized the order. That way we're not talking about LeBron James for 30 straight minutes. And let's just start with the 2024 finals. This was the first finals that popped up. Folks, I'm not gonna lie to you, and I think I'm a little bit slightly biased in this regard, but this series was god-awful. And this was one of the worst series, I think, of the last 20 years. This series was not good whatsoever, and it wasn't even fun, dare I say. The average margin of victory in this series was 17.5. Even the game the Mavericks did win, which was Game 4, was a massive blow. One of the biggest blowouts in the history of the NBA Finals, 38-point win for the Mavs. So that also skews the numbers. But outside of like a fake comeback from Dallas in Game 2, PJ Washington got blocked to chase down block by Derek White. That would have made it a 3-point game with 50 seconds left. That would have been somewhat interesting. Game 3 was the interesting one. Luka fouls out of a 3-point game with 4 minutes left in it. Kyrie hit a 3 to make it a 1-point game, and the Celtics just kind of pulled away. But outside of that game, this series never felt close. I had a chatter recently tell me that you can go back and watch my Game 1 stream of that series, and you can see it in my eyes that I knew the series was over 5 minutes into Game 1. KP had 11 points, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks in 7 minutes in the first quarter. You just kind of knew the Mavs were up against it. It's never a good sign when the most iconic moment of the series was nothing that happened on the court at all. It was Luka fouling out of the game, and then the Brian Windhorst rant after.
I'm standing here in the Mavericks tunnel.
Fucking challenge the call. Luka was on some absolute nonsense. Luka was on some bullshit in that game. He was. It's funny rewatching this. There's a lot of foreshadowing here. A lot of very interesting foreshadowing looking back on it now. But this series was bad. I think what makes this series even worse is one, name me one iconic moment from this series. Derek Lively hitting a corner three. That was iconic, I know. Name me one iconic moment. Tim Hardaway Jr.'s all-time heater. That was great too. The thing that also sucked is like the stars weren't even very good. I did not think Luka was good at all in this series. The whole Mavericks team was bad, and Luka was the best out of all of them, but I didn't think he was necessarily good. Kyrie was terrible in the series. Tatum shot really poorly. I thought he played good defensively and playmaking wise, but shot horribly from three. And even Jaylen Brown, who won Finals MVP, was 23% from three and 44% from the field. This was just a really, really bad series. 2015. Fuck is Iggy doing on this picture? 2015. I like this. I went back last summer. I did a video project. I was working on a video project where I went back and rewatched every single video from this, or every single game from this series. And this was a fun series. It went 6 games. 9.5 points was the average margin of victory. The first 3 games in the series were great. The first 2 games in this series went to overtime. How often do you see that? LeBron was just on another planet in this series. 35, 13, and 9 were his averages. Andre Iguodala, just to put into perspective how unbelievable LeBron was, Andre Iguodala won Finals MVP for that being his averages. And yes, there's a lot of on-off numbers from this series that shows, LeBron's efficiency and stuff tanked when Iggy was on the floor and guarding him. So in that regard, Iggy did do a great job defensively on LeBron. I'm not trying to poo-poo it, but that just goes to show how incredible LeBron was. The storyline of this series, unfortunately, was Kevin Love was already out, dislocated his shoulder, Kelly Olynyk, dirty play. And Kyrie Irving played game 1 of the series, and that was it. Missed the rest of the series with a knee injury. So in a lot of ways, the story was Matthew Dellavedova, who had to go to the hospital in the middle of this series because he was cramping so bad after chasing Steph Curry around. Timothy Mozgov, Iman Shumpert, like all of these guys, the Cavs just had to pull it out the mud with. And, there were some great games in the series. Game 2, again, went to overtime. LeBron had 39, 16, and 11 in the game. Game 3, LeBron scored 14 in the fourth quarter, and Steph scored 17 in the fourth, an all-time duel. And then the Cavs just kind of blew him out, or the Warriors just kind of blew him out the rest of the series after that. But it was a fun and entertaining series with some interesting storylines. The Warriors get their first ring. LeBron, his first year back in Cleveland, had sort of become this hero again after he was this huge villain after joining the Heatles. And speaking of the Heatles, 2012. So I knew this was a good competitive series. Like, that's how I remember it being. Of course, it was a 5-game series, so you see that and you don't think it was that competitive. But going back and looking at it, I have this in the same category, even though it was only 5 games. Obviously, it was the baby Thunder. They were so incredibly young at the time. I mean, how young are we talking? How young was KD at this time exactly? You had a 23-year-old Kevin Durant, a 23-year-old Russell Westbrook, a 22-year-old James Harden, a 22-year-old Serge Ibaka. I mean, it really was the baby Thunder. And KD averaged 30 points in this series per game. He was unbelievable. He scored, he scored 36 points in game 1, the opening game of this series, which the Thunder won. They ended up getting reverse gentleman sweeped in this. And the next 3 games after game 1 were all great, even though the Heat did win. And there's definitely times in this series where you could tell the Heat were the veteran team that's been there, and the Thunder were this baby team that was still trying to, find their way in the league. The Heat took an 18-2 lead to start game 1, 18-2. And the Thunder, to their credit, came back, fought hard, stayed connected. KD scored 26 points in the second half. The Heat did hold on, but that was an incredible performance by Kevin Durant. LeBron in Game 3 scored as many points in the last 8 minutes as the Thunder did as a team. Game 4, there was 12 lead changes and 8 ties. Mario Chalmers had 25 points and had the last 5 points of the game for the Heat to ice it. And then they pull away in Game 5. Obviously, they win their first ring. The iconic image of the Thunder babies all holding each other, and it's like, we'll be back soon. They were never back, folks. They were never back. These windows are so small, and you never know. There's no guarantee. Of course, I think the more iconic moment of this playoff run, and folks, it's my phone background. LeBron James against the Boston Celtics, Game 6. That was kind of the more iconic moment in this postseason run, but it was still a good final series. 2019. I think this one was made for the YouTube documentary Binge Worthy. Of course, it's kind of hard to talk about this series without contextualizing it with the injuries. KD played 15 minutes in the series. game 5, and then he ruptured his Achilles in game 5. Klay Thompson was on an all-time heater in game 6, had 30 points on 12 shots in 30 minutes, and then tore his ACL going for a fast break dunk, and obviously missed the remainder of the series. Who knows? Maybe the Warriors win game 6 and force a game 7. Who knows, really? It's not really fair to the Raptors to say that. But this was still, even factoring those injuries, which I do think kind of, it takes away a little bit. It was still a really, really great series. Kawhi was just a Terminator God mode. And it was like two incredibly well-built teams. Like Fred VanVleet was blossoming into this fantastic role player, this fantastic bench player. Had 15 points in game 1 off the bench, had 17 points in game 2. Quinn Cook, remember Quinn Cook? He hit 2 threes in the fourth quarter of game 2 for the Warriors. Quinn Cook, 3 threes in the game total. The Raptors' entire starting 5 scored 17 points in game 3. All of them. 17 points. The whole starting 5 did. Patrick McCaw got booed by the Warriors fans when he checked in game 3. Remember that? Patrick McCaw? That was hilarious looking back at these series. And it was like, Patrick McCaw greeted with boos. I'm like, what the fuck? Why was Patrick, like, I get, like, Patrick McCaw used to play for the Warriors, right? And then he was on the Raptors. And I think there was some, like, friction there. But just to think of Patrick McCaw as a level of player that was getting booed is hilarious. Kawhi, game 4, Kawhi Leonard had 36 points. It was just an all-time game. Ibaka had 20 off the bench. Kawhi again in game 5 was on this just all-time heater down the stretch when it looked like the Raptors were going to win this thing in 5. Went on a personal 10-0 run. Nick Nurse took a timeout to ice him. I remember that being a talking point. And then Steph and Klay were just bombing clutch threes down the stretch. And Kyle Lowry missed a game-winning 3 in the corner. And then game 6, again, Klay's injury, and then Freddie All-Star, Fred VanVleet, had 12 points in the fourth quarter, including a 3 with 3:46 left to take the lead. What a moment. And then that was it for the Warriors. KD leaves. Klay with his injuries, he hasn't played again for 2 years. They're kind of out of the picture entirely, the Warriors are, until 2022. And Kawhi leaves the Raptors, just kind of this all-time mercenary team. It was a fun series to look back on. And this was like a big fan series. Like, remember Drake was everywhere at this time. They showed Drake all the time. Nav, remember this guy, the Raptors super fan? Nav, remember him? No, not that Nav. They gave his ass a ring. You think the Mavericks would ever give me a ring if they won? Hell no. I know what you guys are probably going to say in the comments. What about the Thunder? Fuck you. 2014. Did I have this under the formality? Oh, no, I do have this under fun narratives, bad series. Yeah, this series sucked. Average margin of victory of 14.5 points, nearly 15 points, actually. The Heat got absolutely destroyed, absolutely poopied on, part of my language. They got manhandled in this series, and it was obvious that the Heat were done. Like, that was just kind of it for Miami. The Spurs had just reached this pinnacle of basketball. They played so incredibly well. They played so incredibly well off one another. And similar to what I said about the Mavs series earlier, it's never a good thing when, like, the thing everyone remembers from the series is nothing basketball related. You know, you go back to this one, and it was game 1. What do you remember from the series? It was LeBron James cramping. It was 90 plus degrees inside of that stadium. How is that even possible? It was LeBron cramping and getting carried off. LeBron cramping. Yeah, I'm not going to poo-poo that. Cramping sucks. Cramping hurts. It's not, not breaking your ankle or anything like that. But it does suck, I will say. And that's what everyone remembers. That's still like a somewhat popular conspiracy theory to this day, was that this was something the Spurs did intentionally, which I always question is, like, they both had to play, like the Spurs also played in there. So I don't know about that. 2022, this is like kind of an iconic narrative series. I put this one, and we'll always watch reruns as well, although there are some absolutely iconic moments in the series. Do not get me wrong. Steph Curry's game 6 was a masterclass. 34 points, 12 of 21 from the field, 6 of 11 from 3, and a closeout game 6 on the road, especially considering this felt like the Celtics were going to win this series for stretches of it. And it was funny, like, game 1 was this fourth quarter onslaught from Boston, 40-16 in the fourth quarter. The Celtics went 9 of 12 from 3, and it was kind of like flipping the script. It was like this role reversal, like this young team, although the Celtics weren't young. They've been in a ton of postseason series up until this point, but their first time in the finals, like, took complete and total control of the game in the fourth quarter. And then, of course, they went up 2-1 after game 3, and it was just kind of over after that. The Warriors kind of figured them out. and Steph Curry just took over. And Wiggins also played out of his fucking mind. The best stretch of basketball he's had in his career by a lot. Jordan Poole was incredible in this playoff run for them. Wiggins in the last 3 games, 20 points, 2 steals, 1.5 blocks over the last 3 games. And this was just an iconic sort of, obviously you had this, let's, hold on. You had the night-night moment, which was a bad thing to come out of this because the night-night celebration's been overdone to death. But it was an iconic moment for Steph, and he really needed it. He got the finals MVP. It was their first ring since KD left. Like, it sort of cemented everything. Not that he needed to be cemented, right? But it was really big for them. It just was. 2023, this goes in the formalities one. This series stunk as well. And I hate to say series stink. This series did stink. Average margin of victory in this one was 9.5 points, so it wasn't that big. I say formality because it never felt at any point like the Heat were going to win this series. And another reason why I say that, even though they did win game 2, don't get me wrong, they did win game 2. So it was tied, but it's hard to say this for a team that made the finals. The Heat had been playing like not great basketball for a while. Right? They beat the Bucks in round 1, and it was this all-time Jimmy Butler, you can't fucking guard me, to Drew Holiday, like this all-time Heat check from him. He's playing out of his mind. And then they go up 3 on the Celtics, and they just barely survived that series. The Celtics steamrolled them for 3 straight games, and it did feel like at the time that the Celtics were trying to win game 7. Jason Tatum tweaks his ankle early. I don't know. But the Heat just were not playing that good. And it felt absolutely as if the Nuggets were going to win this series. And I don't want to take anything away from the series as a whole because Jokic was awesome. 30, 14, and 7. It was just one of the better NBA performances you'll see. We have to talk about the Nuggets' path to get there. The 8th seed in round 1, they were the 1 seed. That's to be expected. 4th seed in round 2, nothing weird there. But then the 7th seed and then an 8th seed in the finals. No 50-win team. That does get brought up quite a bit. But, it is what it is. I'm trying to find that insane, crazy video of the NBA Finals promo. You guys remember what I'm talking about? That like absolutely batshit insane finals promo where it was like animated. That was like the talk of this whole series, weirdly enough. But yeah, I didn't think the series was very good. Some of the games were competitive, but it never felt like the Heat had a chance. It just didn't. 2017, where do I have this one? I have this one in formalities as well. I did not think the series was very fun. It was KD's first year with the Warriors. The average margin of victory in the series was nearly 20. Nearly 20. This series was garbage, in my opinion. And I remember feeling at the time like the league was absolutely fucking cooked. And it wasn't, funny enough, it was not a sweep. The Cavaliers did blow out the Warriors in game 4 to just avoid. It was a gentleman's sweep through and through. But this series was not good, not competitive. KD had a 3 in game 3 to take the lead, but the series was already fucking done. The series was already done, and I could not help but feel like my league was ruined at the end of it. Like, that's how I felt. I know it's like, I feel like people look back at this now and they're like, no, it was a good time. No, it wasn't. This shit sucked. Dude, it was a good time, actually. No, it was horrible. It was a horrible time. 2021, a very, very good final series that I hope doesn't get forgotten about over time. And I feel like people have been saying for a while, we've had bad series. This was one of the better series in a while. I put it under YouTube documentary worthy. I think this was such a fun, entertaining series, man. Such a fun, entertaining series. The Suns went up 2-0 in this series. Had a big-time chance in Game 4 to take a commanding 3-1 lead and really just kind of blew the last 3 games in the series in a lot of ways. It's interesting because first 3 games of this series were not that great. The Suns took the first 2 somewhat comfortably. Bucks blew out the Suns in Game 3. But the last 3 games of the series are 3 of the better finals games we've had in a long time, right? Game 4, Chris Middleton had a personal 10-0 run in the last 2 minutes to win the game, and he had 40. A personal 10-0 run in the last 2 minutes to ice the game. And then you had that iconic, let me pull it up, that iconic Giannis block. Giannis block Game 4. You had this iconic Giannis block on this lob attempt, man. This will forever be one of the absolute craziest blocks. The recovery. This is a 2-point game with 1:18 left. We're in the middle of a Chris Middleton absolute heater. This play doesn't even fucking make sense. Oh my heavens. Giannis was just on another planet in this series. Another planet entirely. Game 5, you had the 2021 NBA Finals. Game 5. You had the Drew Holiday steal. Then the lob to Giannis to ice that game. That one was absolutely insane. Let's pull it up. Heat down, or Suns down by 1. They bring the ball up, no timeouts, 6-second difference. Look at Drew Holiday, man. And then the lob on the other end in a fucking dirty play by Chris Paul. 100% dirty play. Did they end up calling that a flagrant? I can't remember off the top of my head. But and then Giannis, of course, in game 6 to close it out, had 50 points from 17 of 19 from the free throw lines. Most points ever in a closeout game of the NBA Finals. This was a really, really fun series. And, I mean, Giannis cemented him. Giannis stamped. Need I say more? Round my hometown. In my hometown. This to me goes in the Tell Your Grandkids one, and maybe I am biased as a Mavs fan, let me know. But, you know, this wasn't a 7-game series. There are other series in here, and they are 7-game series, the rest of them. I'll just give you a spoiler there. This one was not a 7-game series, but every fucking game in this series was incredible. The average margin of victory was 5.5 points. Game 2, the Mavericks finished one of the bigger comebacks in NBA Finals history, a 22-5 run to finish the game. Dirk had a game-winning layup. It looked like throughout the second half, the Heat were going to blow out the Mavs in game 2, and it kind of felt like this was over. Like the Heat just were better, and this was going to be it. And then this insane comeback. And then from that point forward, Miami only wins one more game from that point forward. And the Mavs defensively were just on another planet, right? The zone that they went to just stifled them. JJ Barea was playing post defense on LeBron James, folks. Game 3, it was just an insane defensive performance by both teams. It was just crazy shot making down the stretch by Dirk, by Bosh, by Wade. And Dirk got a great look at the end, a little mid-range turnaround jumper that he loves that back-ironed to give the Heat the lead. And I think I remember hearing at the time, it was the first time in NBA history since they went to the 2-3-1-1-1 format that was it 2-3-1-1-1 or 2-3-2? I don't remember. But a certain format, it was the first time that a team that was up 2-1 lost. The team that had home court advantage in the series. Game 4, you guys know what the Game 4 is referred to as? The meltdown. LeBron James getting his ass clamped up by JJ Barea. 8 points, 3 of 11, 4 turnovers. Huh? Another great defensive showing. How about Mavs legend Dwayne Casey? And Rick Carlisle, obviously. Game 5, Mavs shoot 68% from 3. Jose Juan Barea had 17 off the bench. And the Heat had a 9-0 run, capped off by Dwayne Wade 3 at the top of the key. 9-0 run to give them a 4-point lead with 4:38 left, and the Mavericks outscored them 17-4 the rest of the game. And then game 6, 27 from Jed off the bench. Dirk struggled all game, shot really, really, really poorly, but had 10 in the fourth quarter. The Mavs, 42% from 3. Dirk iced it with a layup. Ran off to the locker room. Round my hometown. It's one of the best finals ever, folks. 2016. Now, let me say this. Game 7 saved 2016. Game 7 in the just kind of insane narratives. I think this is like maybe the best narrative series. I don't want to say ever because that's hyperbolic, but definitely in my lifetime. I think of any sport straight up. I just think the narrative surrounding this series and what came of it. I think it's the greatest playoff series or whatever I've seen in my lifetime. Greatest, not best, greatest. Why do I say not best? The average margin of victory in this series was 17 points. I did put it and tell your grandkids. 17 points. No game in this series was even remotely close. The closest game in this series, the closest, narrowest margin of victory in the series was 11 by Golden State in game 4 before game 7. And then, of course, every game was a blowout, basically. And then, of course, you had the Draymond suspended for game 6. And then, was it game 5? Game 5, game 6. Draymond suspended for game 5. LeBron and the Cavs just rout the Warriors in game 6. That was when LeBron did the, yeah, bitch, to Steph Curry after blocking him. And then game 7, I mean, iconic game. One of the best basketball games you'll ever see. With just iconic moment after iconic moment. Blocked by James! Just an absolutely insane moment. And then Kyrie hitting one of the greatest shots in the history of the sport. And then just the narratives that came from that. The Warriors won 74 games that season. They won 74 games and lost in the finals. It don't mean a thing without the ring. 73 wins. And they don't mean a thing without the ring. And this Cavaliers team, who is also dominant. And also, don't forget, like, part of it, the Warriors coming back down 3-1 against the Thunder to even make this series. And LeBron getting one in Cleveland. Cleveland, this is for you. What a fucking series this was. What a game that was. The series, you look back on it, and it's like blowout, Game 7. One of the greatest games ever. 2020. There's a moment of this. There's a moment from this series that I just can't get out of my head ever. Bubble finals celebration. You guys know what I'm talking about. I've tried to pull up the video. I probably should have had it already. Am I really not going to be able to find this? The video where they're all jumping up and down and there's no sound. It's just it's the shoes squeaking. Am I really not going to be able to find this? Anyways, this series was good. You know, I'm putting it in the we'll always watch reruns. It was a good series. Contrary to the Heat other run, where you could just kind of tell in 2023 that they were gassed. Jimmy was gassed. Jimmy was also dealing with injuries by the time that finals got there, and they stood no chance. This one was like Jimmy was playing so fucking possessed, and he was insane in this series as well, that it was like, oh, maybe the Heat just win this series. I don't know. Jimmy averaged 26, 8, and 10 over the course of the series. It was like, maybe they do win, man. I don't know. Average margin of victory of 10. Game 5 was one of the better finals games of the decade. It was kind of funny. I was going back and rewatching the end of it earlier today. Markieff Morris is out there on the floor. Shout out to our guy, Markieff. Jimmy hit go-ahead free throws with 16 seconds left. Jimmy played nearly 48 minutes in the game. It was just an iconic series from Jimmy, and there's so many memes that came from it, the Jimmy tired memes. But LeBron and AD, huh? LeBron and AD. LeBron won finals MVP. He was absolutely incredible. Anthony Davis was 25 and 11 with 3.5 stocks in the series and 42% from 3 in the series. This was a fun series. It gets shit on because it's the bubble and there's that video. But it was great. I have 19 notifications. Did a crazy trade or something happen? Something crazy happen? Let me just make sure. No. All right. 2018 is next. I ended up putting 2018 in the fun narratives bad series. It's kind of lumped in with 2017 where it was a formality. We knew the Warriors were going to win. The only reason why I'm putting it here is we did have a couple of good games in this one, including an all-time classic Game 1 where, you guys know what happened in that game, correct? That was the classic overtime J.R. Smith, what the fuck are you doing game where LeBron James played like a man possessed. One of the absolute craziest and best performances you will ever see from a player. And then you did have that Game 3. That was a fun, exciting, close game. KD had the 32-foot bomb to ice it that put the Cavs up the Cavs behind the Warriors 3-0. But it was an all-time classic. 51 points in Game 1 from LeBron. LeBron was probably playing the best basketball of his life, right? Like the 2018 run for Bron was probably the best. Now, I will say, it's funny, you go back and you watch these 2018 Warriors championship celebration. It's funny, you go back and you watch it, and like, they're just like, yeah, all right, hey, good shit, man. Good shit, bro. And they're just like, yeah. They're like, it was such a formality that they were going to win that they're just like, hell yeah. Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, we just won a championship. Like, yeah, good shit, man. Good job. Woohoo. Yay. Well, just a little Zaza, but truly makes me sick to my fucking stomach. Yeah, like, yeah. Woohoo. All the role guys. All the role guys who hadn't won yet, like, yeah, everyone else like, yeah, that's what's up. For sure. No, facts. It's pretty sick. So yeah, I'm putting it in the fun narratives bad series because Game 1 was great. And it was like LeBron's all-time iconic. 2010, obviously, it's interesting. These two that we're closing it out on are both all-time classics. Tell Your Grandkids, 2010, just a dogfight, drag 'em out series. Kind of similar where Game 2 was great. Celtics outscored the Lakers 16-4 in the last 5 minutes of the game to win. Outside of Game 2 and Game 7, not a lot of good games in this series. But, you know, it was a first and only Game 7 of the finals for Kobe, first and only Game 7 of the finals for Phil Jackson. It was the last time we'd see either of those in the finals, the last time we'd see that Celtics group also in the finals. Then, of course, Game 7 was just this iconic. And it was a drag 'em out rock fight. Like, it wasn't a very appeasing. I actually watched this game recently. It wasn't like a very aesthetically pleasing game. It was a fucking rock fight. There was a lot of bad basketball played really over the course of the series, which is what makes the series so interesting. It was older teams going up against one another, and they just had to figure it out. They just had to grind out wins, grind out these games in order to win, and that's just what they had to do. And they were these just drag them out fucking rock fights, man. And Game 7, of course, 83-79, low scoring, just get it out the mud, everything. And I kind of think Game 7 should be like this. Like a 4-point lead in a Game 7 shouldn't be like, oh, Neesmith's about to hit 3 threes in the span of about 40 seconds and it's about to be a whole new game. It should be like, oh my God, we're down 4. 4 feels like 16. Like that's where that's Game 7 should honestly kind of feel like that. Of course, Game 7 had the iconic Ron Artest shot. He passed me the ball. Remember that? Sasa Vujacic. Remember that? Hit the game-winning free throw, or not the game-winning free throws, but sealed it at the free throw line there at the end. The Celtics just had this crazy three-point barrage towards the end of the game to even stay alive in this one. I felt like the Lakers were on the verge of pulling away, and then they just got like Rasheed Wallace and Rondo, and those two were just hitting Ray Allen. I was going to say Ray Allen hit crazy threes, but no three's crazy for him. But they were just hitting 3 after 3 to stay alive. It was just an insane Game 7 that really kind of propelled the series. And then, in my opinion, the best series of the last 15 years is 2013. It's really interesting to me how 2016, I think, is like what defines LeBron's legacy. And I think that's fair. Coming back down 3-1 against a team like that, that defines his legacy. I don't know if there's anything better than this, though. I don't know. And it's just crazy how the narratives of the series has gone, where it's like Ray Allen saved LeBron's career, where it saved his legacy. That's what it talked about, the Ray Allen 3. LeBron the last like 15 minutes of Game 6 and Game 7 was on another fucking world entirely. Like at this point in time, LeBron was so far and away the best player in the league, and there wasn't even a close second. And it showed at the end there. It showed. And it was like this iconic moment that really should be the defining moment of his career in a lot of ways. Also kind of like some of these other series, nearly 14 points was a margin of victory, average margin of victory. Game 1 was a very, very good game in the series, but everything else up until Game 6 was terrible. And then, of course, Game 6 was this iconic, all-time, classic, colossal choke job by the Spurs, one of the biggest choke jobs in the history of sports. Up 4 with 30 seconds left. Kawhi's at the free throw line, chance to make it a 6-point game. He goes 1 of 2. LeBron misses a 3, chance to get a rebound. Game's over. Offensive rebound for the Heat. LeBron hits another 3. Boom. Make it a 2-point game. Kawhi fouled again, go to the free throw line. You make 2 of these, the game is over. He goes 1 of 2. Then, of course, LeBron misses the 3. Bosh rebound. Kick out. Allen. Bang! Overtime. Heat kind of dominated overtime. And then towards the end of the third quarter through the fourth, LeBron had one of the greatest stretches you'll ever see a basketball player have. Which is why like the Ray Allen saved LeBron's career thing is just kind of crazy to me, because they're not even remotely close to the position they're in there without LeBron. And then Game 7 was a fucking unbelievable game. Game 7 of the series was incredible. LeBron had 37, 12, and 4, including the dagger mid-range jumper to win the game. Tim Duncan, misses a chippy gimme there to tie the game late. That's why I was saying earlier, this 2014, I think, kind of erased some of this series. Because if the Spurs don't win in 2014, we're looking at this series way differently. Like, this series gets brought up a lot more than it already does, probably. And I think we probably remember the Heat a little bit different. Like, this was, I think without 2016, this is the defining LeBron moment, this series right here. But it was just an all-time classic series. And I think the best series we've had since the 2010s have started. And who knows? Where do you think 2025 could fit? This is what I want to know from you guys. If you made it this far, please leave a comment. I want to know. 2025, where does it have the potential to fit in? Now, every single other game, 3 series here that went to a Game 7, all of them are in the tell your grandkids tier. I have to be honest with you, I'm not quite sure we're there yet. Now, to be completely and totally fair, 2010, without that being a great Game 7, is probably the same. Like 2016, if both of these Game 7s are like blowouts, they're probably in a different tier. They're probably down here. So if Game 7's a blowout, maybe it's about right here. Like, it was a great series. We'll always talk about it, but the Game 7 should have been better. And could have, if it's an all-time great Game 7, it's going to be up here. It's going to be one of the best final series of the last 20 years or so. So I'm excited. I can't fucking wait. Game 7 of the finals. We deserve this, man. We deserve this. Leave a like, leave a comment. I love you. Mwah.